Election 2024 is over. America has voted, and both sexism and racism have won the day. On Liberal Dan Radio, we will hold everyone accountable, from the media that failed to report the threat that Trump poses to this nation, to the people who supported him. We will pick up the mantle to educate the people about his actions, from being dictator on day one, pardoning January 6th domestic terrorists, implementing Project 2025, and any other draconian measures he tries to pass. And now, the resistance begins. And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. We will put the call-in number later, but when we do open up the phone lines, it will be 562-542-3261 or 562-LIBDAN1. But we're not open yet, but I'll make sure to let you all know when they are. You can also join us in either of the chat rooms. LiberalDanRadio.com, which is the link to the YouTube channel, makes it easier. Or twitch.tv/LiberalDanRadio as well. Lots of different ways to support the show. First and foremost, remember to like the video, share the stream, subscribe to the channel, comment, like, share other videos that I've posted throughout the week. That's the best way to help the algorithms out. And of course, as we all know, Al Gore needs more rhythm. And if you want to support the show other ways, there's lots of ways to do so, but right now I'm kind of sort of focusing on the GoFundMe that I posted. It's pinned in both the Twitch and YouTube chats. I will get to that in a few minutes to describe what's going on, because my wife's still in the hospital. My wife on Thursday went back to the hospital. And we'll wait for a few more people to trickle in order to discuss what's going on with that, why I decided to feel the need to, pull that trigger, so to speak, and get that up and running. Lots of things going on, with my life or whatever, and so I decided it was about time to just put that thing up there, let people help as they may. So first of all, let's give a shout out to people in the chats. Obviously, I'm obviously concerned about my wife's, whatever is going on with my wife, but she's awake. She's in the hospital, but she's awake. She's being taken care of. There's not much I can do at this very moment to help her in the hospital room. So it's I get to, by ranting about politics, I guess I get to kind of, relieve some of my stress that goes on with my life. By hanging out virtually with people who I like and enjoy hanging out with, i.e. the people, the Liberal Danimals and everybody else who is taking part. That's also enjoyable as well. I love my mod squad, I love the regulars, and I love the new people that come in and add new and wonderful things to the show. So running the show and keeping my life running as normal is probably one of the best things I think I can do, especially when there's currently nothing I can do, at least at the hospital, to help my wife, because if I was, I'd be there, not online. But anyway, she seems to have doctors that are on the ball, that seem to now know what she is. And I'm gonna go over everything that happened since the podcast. And I think I've gotten to the point where I've told the Wednesday night story so many times that I'm probably not gonna tear up during it, but who knows? It might still happen. I don't know yet. Very emotional. But again, I appreciate everybody who's joining us. We got Lisa, who is first, Aaron, Josh, Dean, Alton, Gillespie. We have Steve from across the pond.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
And as promised, Steve gets his sound.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
Yes, there you go. So we got Jeff, Christina from Florida. Hello. I've been to Florida lots. We are definitely big Disney freaks, etc. There's that going. Oh, wait, hold on. Scrolled a little bit too far. We got Roxanne in the chat. Who else? We got Jolie and Aaron, both of parts of the mod squad. I'm guessing, Jolie, you got your scheduling issues worked out with your employer. Progressively Independent, thank you for joining us as well. Good to see you again. Molly O, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Jackie CR. Somebody said, who was it that said that? Was it Josh? Oh, I had originally, the show actually started before it became visible on YouTube because I inadvertently had it on private so I could test my settings on my new setup in here. Hoping that this means that my stream is better. I have anticipation and high hopes that this will be that this may very well be the clearest stream so far that we've ever had. Let me know if you believe that's the case, and I'll be very happy to hear that. Certain things may not be available, like if I'm forced to quote the 9th or 10th Amendment. I don't have that currently up there on my new OBS setup, so there's that. But Josh did say something that Impeccable Living might want the private show, and of course to that I'll have to say, oh my. There you go. So there we go. And what also is great about this is the fact that I now have a working new soundboard that I found that doesn't delay, doesn't cut off the initial stuff from the audio, and I could put everything up there, so it's all in one nice little convenient place. So small victories, so to speak. So, but yeah, I think they're settling on maybe Guillain-Barré syndrome, or however it is that's spelled. What's up, Sue? Good to see you. Sue, thank you for stopping by as well. See, Lisa, I always clean when I'm stressed, so lots of cleaning going on here because of the last few days of Donald's presidency. I wish that somebody in this house would have that because, oh, we're a mess. Oh, we have lots of stuff to take care of. There's a good reason why you have a virtual background right now, because everything that's behind me is a hot mess. Hot mess. So, all right. So we got 21 already. That's awesome to see. Hopefully some people trickling in over from Hal's or whatever. Again, thank anybody who's new. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you joining the show and joining the Liberal Danimal family. I mean, technically all of the people who get subscriptions or who get memberships here are called Liberal Danimals. But if you're taking part of the show, if you're enjoying just everything and you just come back regularly, you're all Liberal Danimals in my book. So. Anyway, so as I'd said on Wednesday's show, Cassie had come home from the hospital on Tuesday. They let her go, and they said if things got worse, bring her back. So this is the tough part to explain, because for people who've been listening for a while, there was a show there was a Wednesday show that took place a while back. Kids interrupted me and said, "Daddy, we need your help." For a while, my mother-in-law had been living with me after her surgery because her going in a placed living type situation that wasn't quite hospice but almost there, they were not taking good enough care of her. So we decided that with perhaps a home health nurse that we would do better taking care of her as well. She had fallen a couple of times in the house, but nothing really bad. She fell right on her butt, and we had worked out a system to get her picked up quickly, to get her on her feet, and there you go. So in the middle of one of the shows, Gigi fell, and so I'm like, okay, let me go downstairs, and I'll be right back. I'll just stay on. I'll go deal with this. Should be very quick. I'll just lift her up like we normally do. I'll get her up on her bed. We'll be good to go. When I got her sat down on the bed, the look on her face was just made me think that everything was just that something was absolutely not right. And then the next morning, came downstairs, I saw her, we brought my kids to school, came back home, messaged my wife. I was like, look, I think we need to look into places for your mom, with her falling more and just, she didn't seem right last night. I think we have to find a place for her. And then by the time, an hour later when my wife came downstairs, that's when she found my mother-in-law. So after the show on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, I went to go into after the show, I went to go to the bedroom, see if Cassie needed anything. She was like, can you help me to the bathroom? She was getting more and more weak. And when I grabbed her hand, the face that she made was the exact same face that my mother-in-law made the day before she died. And when I say exact same face, I don't just mean like very similar, looks from like what she did with her eyes or nothing. No, they were basically twins. Like she was her mom's mini me. And so when she made the face, it just brought me right back there. And I was bawling for about an hour. I was so just absolutely upset. And then we brought her back to the hospital Thursday. Well, the Thursday morning, she said she was having double vision. She was feeling even weaker. The hospital doctors at the previous hospital were like, if she gets worse, take her to another ER because those other hospitals may have better neurology departments. So I'm like, all right. So we call her primary care physician. We say, hey, should we go to University Medical Center? Should we go to Toro? Which one is the better one to go to in your opinion? And should we go in the first place considering these new symptoms? The doctor was like, absolutely, with new symptoms, go back to the ER and go to Turo because that's, I guess, where she's out of. So, okay, fine. Well, I wasn't going to argue with her doctor. And so we went to Turo, brought her in. I had to leave to go pick up my youngest son from school. Between the time that I left, and the school's like 15 minutes, it was 15 minutes to get to school and get parked, and it was really close. So I get to the school, parked. By the time I'm about to leave, Cassie messages me, hey, they want to let me go. They want to discharge me and have me go for an in-person appointment tomorrow. I was like, the hell they are. So but by the time I got back, so it was basically like no more than a half an hour of me leaving and coming back to the ER. By the time I got back, that doctor was gone after having made that decision to send her home. So I had to explain to a whole new doctor why it was irresponsible to let her go this early. And here's like, well, why did the previous hospital let her go if she was not okay? And I'm like, well, maybe because they told us that if she gets worse, that we need to bring her somewhere, and she got worse, so we brought her somewhere. And they advised us to come to somewhere else. We asked the primary care physician, this is what she said. We was like, this is not safe for her to be at home. She is not able to walk around by herself. I mean, like, when I got her home, she needed the assistance of a walker to get from the car to the house. She couldn't even go down the stairs without sliding down the stairs on her butt when we were leaving. And I needed to grab a wheelchair to pull her out of the house into the car. And the reason why we have all that is because my mother-in-law lived with us, so we had her wheelchair and we had her walker. And I was teary-eyed, I was frustrated, I was angry, I was upset, I was everything, and I was trying my damnedest to be just as calm and professional as I could. I told him that story about how her face looked, which of course made me broke down at that point, because still I wasn't at the point where I could tell that story without crying. And somehow how I worded degraded rapidly or something like that, somehow I was able to make the argument to a trained professional doctor as a software developer and podcaster that they needed to keep her in the hospital. And I was able to convince a doctor to make sure that happened. I don't know why I had to convince a doctor to do that, but I convinced a doctor to do that. And then after thinking about, the fact that my wife's going to have lost wages because she's hourly, she's not salary, all of the added driving we're going to have to do to just drive everybody around. I don't know if I'm going to have missed wages on my part. I don't know if, there's so much stuff that's going on. Plus all of the stuff that's happened in the last year, we've gotten in mountains and mountains and mountains of debt because of everything that took place with my mother-in-law passing away. That's why I decided to go ahead and make the GoFundMe, and there's been some generous people so far. I did not expect to get what I got so far this quickly. I don't know how GoFundMe decides what it's going to show you, because the amount that I anticipated that might just help us get through is more than the amount that they're setting for the current goal, but they're the professionals, I guess. They're the ones who knows what works with campaigns and what doesn't, so I will just give to their expertise or whatever and let their code run as their code runs, because if they think doing it that way helps the fundraising, then by all means I'm going to let them do it the best way that it can. Lisa, am I the primary caregiver? When my mother-in-law was here it was kind of like both me and my wife taking care of her. I would have to be the one that would lift her if she fell. I often did like the pushing of the saline through the line, and then putting in her little balls of medicine so that she could get antibiotics and treat her infections or whatever. But for my wife, she would really need a caregiver before this past week. She was still able to walk around. I mean, she was like feeling wobbly, but she could still get around. She didn't need my help. Once she started needing my help, and it was declining so rapidly that I was like, okay, good. We're going to take you to the ER. And then I put my foot down and was like, no, you're going to keep her, because I don't want to be in the situation that I was with my mother-in-law last year. So it's been rough. So I have, but yeah, so I pinned the GoFundMe's to the top of each of the chats. I guess, and then again, there's all the other different ways that you can help the podcast as well. Venmo Liberal Dan. Actually, I keep more of it if you Venmo me, but Venmo Liberal Dan. It's just Liberal Dan at Venmo. You can buy me a cider. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/Liberal Dan Radio. Either way gets you there. I'm Liberal Dan Radio on Blue Sky, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, etc., YouTube. All the places. I try to be Liberal Dan Radio. All of the places will be easier to find. Then what else? Patreon.com/LiberalDan or Patreon.liberaldan.com. If you are a current paying Liberal Dan patron, you probably got notification of this week's Hypocrite of the Week early. I posted that last night. We'll be playing that later in the show as well. And of course, there's the other thing in the YouTube show description. I'll give the link over here as well, but in the YouTube show description, we also, if you're new to the show, if you're new to watching Liberal Dan Radio, a lot of the times we start the show off with lots of personal stuff, lots of some talking stuff, as we allow people to trickle in before we start getting to the meat of the issues. I like to see what everybody says in here in the chat. But we have, if you play games on your phone, we have that link. That link is also in the show description, so if you need to come back to it late, you can see it. If you get that link and you play that game, you have about 24 days to get to level 300. It's really not that difficult to level up a bunch, but the first 18 people to do that get up to level 300. Get the most bang for your buck on how to contribute to the show. If you download the game and you purchase a $3 pack, I get $4 in return. Actually, a $2.99 pack. I get $4 back on that. Plus, you also get the first 50 to buy a $2.99 pack. Plus, will also get gifted subs to my nerdydan.com channel over on Twitch. It'll generate the sub fairy or whatever, and they'll go ahead and once this whole thing is over, when it comes to this promotion and sponsorship, I'll be able to do that as well. So if you like playing little fun games on your phone, check it out. Awesome. If you don't like playing games on your phone, there's many other ways that you can help, especially helping the algorithm. So I understand, Christina. That's absolutely 100% totally understandable. I don't want anybody contributing anything they can't afford to do. Again, one of the best things that I said, people can't afford it. If you feel like sharing the link to the GoFundMe, share the link to the GoFundMe to your social media accounts. If you just want to share just Liberal Dan Radio stuff and videos that you like, also do that as well. That will help the show in the long term as well as we kind of build things up. So we are going to dive locally for a second. Actually, let me do something real quick. I don't know if actually that'll work. I don't know if that's gonna work. Because yeah, whatever. I can do it this way. Hold on. Let me try this real quick, because I wanted to get this one image up during the playing of the music. So we will load that up. Let's do that. Ooh, that's too low. That's too little. That's too big. One thing I forgot to set up before I actually did it. So we'll just do it like this. So we'll swip over to the laptop screen. There we go. and we will now play this week's Hypocrite of the Week. This week's Hypocrite of the Week is the Archdiocese of New Orleans. The Second Harvest Food Bank of New Orleans donates 40 million meals a year to those in need. The Archdiocese, owner of the food bank, fired long-term board members because they wouldn't use money donated for food to help pay off sex abuse claims. Feed the poor, except when you're covering your own ass, hey? To see who next week's Hypocrite of the Week will be, tune in live Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on liberaldanradio.com and twitch.tv/liberaldanradio for more talk from the left. That's right. So yeah, that's something that's going on in New Orleans. We have there was a long time investigative report by one of the local news channels going into like all of the financials that were going on as it pertains to the bankruptcy of the New Orleans Archdiocese, the Catholic Church here in the city of New Orleans. And I didn't know for a very long time. I used to work for like Louisiana Public Health Institute. Louisiana Public Health Institute had a working relationship with the Second Harvest Food Bank, which is an organization in New Orleans that donates food to the people in need. People make contributions to this organization in the hopes that they're going to feed people. And they, as I said in Hypocrite of the Week, feed 40 million meals every year based on the contributions that are given. Sometimes people donate just pure, food donations, like bags of food, but other people will donate money, etc., with the express hope that the money that is being contributed will go to help feed the hungry folks in this city. I didn't know that there was a connection to the Archdiocese of New Orleans. I didn't know that I pretty much thought that it was a secular organization, and in reality, it is supposed to be a secular organization, even though it is considered to be a holding of that. So what is going on here? The Archdiocese of New Orleans dismissed multiple board members and CEO, Natalie Jaro, from the Second Harvest Food Bank of South Louisiana after the nonprofit refused to allocate funds towards the church's sexual abuse scandal and bankruptcy claims as pertaining to it, according to a news release citing the former chair of that Second Harvest Food Bank. The release said removals come after months of pressure from the Archdiocese, which sought up to $16 million from the food bank to help resolve victims' claims related to the church's sex abuse-related bankruptcy. One of the persons who was found in this, I think it was Fox 8, or it was either WWL or Fox, I think it was WWL. WWL TV, which is the CBS affiliate down here in New Orleans, they did this long investigation into what was going on. They found, for example, this one guy whose name was Louis Hecker, who was a long time, priest, and the Catholic Church down here covered up for him. And there it is. So the Second Harvest Food Bank may be different in different states or whatever, but I don't know if in each state, if they're connected to whatever, but there's an agreement that the Second Harvest Food Bank, and I can get into that in a second. Leadership of Second Harvest Food Bank dismissed by Archbishop in New Orleans following Second Harvest refusal to fund church sex abuse bankruptcy claims. Earlier today, numerous members, this is directly from the press release, numerous members of the board of directors of the Second Harvest Food Bank of South Louisiana, its long-term president, were abruptly terminated by the Archdiocese of New Orleans. The dismissal followed months of increasingly aggressive pressure placed on Second Harvest to contribute as much as $16 million towards helping to resolve those claims, towards the bankruptcy relating to the sexual abuse scandal. Throughout the Archdiocese, numerous attempts to pressure Second Harvest into contributing to the bankruptcy fund. The nonprofit's board and CEO, Natalie Jaro, resolutely refused to reallocate donor funds that are solely intended to help alleviate hunger and food security in South Louisiana. From the very beginning of our conversations with the Archdiocese and its representatives, which extend as far back as months ago, we have stressed the indisputable fact that our agreements with grant-giving organizations and other partners prohibit any expenditures that are non-secular or do not directly align with our sole mission of feeding the hungry. Hungary. That the Archbishop has chosen to ignore these realities and jeopardize Second Harvest's ability to fulfill its mission and honor its contracts is both shocking and short-sighted, said the recently replaced chair of the Second Harvest board. Wilson notes that in particular, Second Harvest's contract with Feeding America, its primary partner, expressly prohibits such outside expenditures that fail to adhere to the letter and spirit of that contract, and will effectively shutter operations and leave more than 400,000 South Louisiana residents at risk. The Archbishop's actions are rooted in his role at Second Harvest corporate partner and the fact that the nonprofit is one of the many apostolates of the church. However, while the Archdiocese seeks to equate Second Harvest with other apostolates, the nonprofit contends that the Archdiocese is intentionally misrepresenting that relationship in the interest of accessing the funds of Second Harvest Food Bank. The fact that the Archbishop is our, quote, corporate member, end quote, does not in any way legally equate Second Harvest with other apostolates or whatever it's apostolates. Uniquely, our mission is 100% secular, in no way tied to the operations or policies of the church. Give some information on the person who was dismissed as CEO, plus the other board members. We don't necessarily need to go into that. In response, and to be fair, we like to actually be fair here on Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. So a joint message from the Archdiocese of New Orleans and Second Harvest Food Bank. Dear faithful supporters, as dedicated and loyal supporters of Second Harvest and its mission, we are writing to address the recent news regarding the transition of a leadership of Second Harvest Food Bank, blah, blah, blah. Our top priority at this time is to ensure day-to-day operations will remain on schedule and services will continue uninterrupted, which could have happened if you didn't try and, get money from the donations that were given to help people eat. New board members have been appointed to the board, and we look forward to working with them in the board of directors. While donor funds are the focus of media reports, there is a much broader issue related to the archdiocesan bankruptcy. In 2022, a lawsuit against the Archdiocese and other ministries that held significant assets, including Second Harvest, was filed on behalf of the abuse survivors. The lawsuit was dismissed, and since then, the parties have been signing agreements to protect themselves from imminent litigation. This year, Second Harvest former leadership refused to sign the agreement. The actions of failing to sign the agreement would have subjected Second Harvest to being sued, along with the Archdiocese and the ministries, as well as other businesses and people who do business with the Archdiocese. As a result, they would have incurred significant legal fees to defend themselves, yada, yada, yada. However, the problem with that being said is that they've interviewed the people who were suing the church and are seeking to settle the bankruptcy claims and to get money from them. And those people who involved in the sex abuse lawsuits have basically said, no, we don't want money from Second Harvest. We just want it from the rest of your holdings that, have to do with your operations as the Catholic Church as a whole. So it's gotten to the point where in Jefferson Parish, which is one county over from New Orleans, you have high-ranking Republican people in the council. Like one of them's name is Jennifer Van Vranken, and she is a devout Catholic, staunch Catholic, but said, I will not be donating to Second Harvest anymore. At least I won't be donating cash to Second Harvest anymore, simply because of the fact that she doesn't trust that the money won't be spent to deal with the funds that are needed to be dealt with when it comes to the bankruptcy, and that she expects any funds donated to Second Harvest are also going to be funds that that aren't going to be sent for any other purpose other than feeding the hungry. Which brings us to, if you're new to the show, another bit that we do, because we have Hypocrite of the Week. Most weeks we do that, and every once in a while, and now recently in the past few weeks, shockingly enough, there's been a lot more Fat Man rants. To describe what a Fat Man rant is, basically on my old channel, before I formed the Liberal Dan radio channel on YouTube, people would come to like my videos and be like, oh, you're wrong because you're fat, haha, and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, why not nip it in the bud, and I'll call these things Fat Man rants. So therefore, if someone tries to call me fat in these, they'll be really stupid. Anyway, wear it like a suit of armor, and nobody can use it to harm you, right? That being said, if you're new to the show, usually when I record these things live, I always end the video with, like the video, subscribe to the channel, have a good day. It doesn't mean I'm ending the show. It just means I'm stopping the recording of that particular bit so that I can more easily upload it later. Anyways, and so some of this that might be put in the next piece, a little bit of information may very well be repetitive, but it's just to give an intro for this particular video that will go live either later tonight or tomorrow morning. The Archdiocese of New Orleans, which is basically the Catholic Church in charge of, the entity in charge of everything Catholic in the city of New Orleans, I guess, has been dealing with a bankruptcy scandal because of what has been going on with sex abuse within the Catholic Church as a whole, and specifically the cover-ups that took place within the city of New Orleans. One of the holdings of the Archdiocese of New Orleans is Second Harvest Food Bank. Second Harvest Food Bank is a nonprofit that has the secular activity of just feeding people who are hungry. People who donate money to this organization expect that money will go to feed hungry people, not to pay off sex abuse claims. And in fact, there are agreements that Second Harvest Food Bank has made with Feeding America and others, and just laws in general that basically require that any money that is donated to Second Harvest Food Bank of South Louisiana needs to be spent on the mission of Second Harvest Food Bank of Louisiana and not on anything else, specifically anything of a non-secular nature, and specifically not to pay off your bankruptcy debts that you're incurred because you effed around by covering up sex abuse claims and now you're finding out. Why go after the Second Harvest Food Bank in particular? That's just, to me, I'm saying that's evil. Why is that evil? The Catholic Church has so much more that they could go into, that they could sell off, or what have you, where they would never have to touch this particular entity, this particular organization. To the point, according to a news report that I saw, the Archdiocese of New Orleans has real estate holdings that have an insured replacement value of more than $2 billion. How about all that gold that you own? Sell some of that off. How about get rid of some of your buildings? There's a dilapidated one right by the Superdome, almost within walking distance. If you're generally healthy and don't have hurt knees like me, you could sell those buildings. You could sell off other buildings. You could sell off other property that you have. Maybe sell off $1 billion of the $2 billion worth of properties. If you have to contract your operations in the city to recover from the fact that y'all made bad decisions and covered up for sex abusers, for people who abuse kids, yeah, I don't care. Contract your operations, make those people as whole as they could possibly be, because you're never going to completely fix what's wrong with them. Trust me, I know. I wasn't raised in the Catholic Church, but I've talked about that before on the show too. It's never going to completely fix the issue, but don't go punishing people who are hungry simply because you made horrible, evil decisions to defend child molesters. To force people to starve because you now you don't want to get rid of other assets that could be worth a lot more money is just sick and twisted and wrong. I mean, I've never been a Catholic. I don't know how anybody could at this point continue to justify donating a single buck to this entity because of all the cover-ups that they did and all the evil people that they covered up for. But regardless of whether or not you feel that you can separate the church and your donations to the church from the activities of the clergy in that church, regardless of that, there's absolutely no reason why these funds should have to be touched at all. And the fact that that's where the Archbishop's mind went, sorry, I can't view that as anything but horrible, terrible, and evil in and of itself. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share it to your social medias, and unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. So that's one of my Fat Man rants to everybody else who might be new to the channel. Sounds like the Trump administration. Exactly, Dean Baker. And there are a lot of people who are Catholics down here. A lot of Catholics nationwide. There are Catholics that definitely go Democrat. There are Catholics that go. There are a lot of the Catholics down here tend to be very conservative. Tend to be, very like they'll make excuses for the Catholic Church, much like they make excuses for Donald Trump. Because that's just, let's see, what am I saying? Pro-life hypocrisy. To protect children, they can sexually assault. Exactly, Big Hook. 100%. Good to see you, Big Hook. Hey, it's the Goddess Kimchi is in the chat. Good to see you, Goddess. Thank you for joining. Let's kind of scroll back to see what I missed. Should my sign say, I support DEI, deport Elon immediately? My dad thought of another or told me another one that was like dumb something and ignorant or something, that should DEI stand for Trump, because he is the ultimate DEI hire. One of the things that I've been thinking about myself is that Republicans have been talking about how, we want to get rid of DEI because we want to only hire the best and the brightest. Well, if that's the case, why did your voters vote overwhelmingly, or why did the voters of this country vote in such a way so that Donald Trump got a plurality of vote? Because that's not the best and the brightest. 100% not whatsoever. Let's see, man. Last night I stopped an old age troll with Diane's help. There was this person she knew back from her old days that set her up. Sorry to hear that, but good to hear that you helped, Kevin. You can't spell felon without Elon. Exactly. Just bring lots of signs. Be like Bob Dylan. Like, hey, Donald Trump, let's deport Elon. Hey. And then, put another one up there. You can't spell felon without Elon. So, anyway, you could just be Bob Dylan, someone who I was almost named after, something we talked about, I think, last show as well. Josh had a great discussion with my dad last night about how some churches are more like community centers and others are weird, exploitive, scary people. That's for darn true. I mean, absolutely. I mean, when I grew up, I guess there's two ways to think about that. When I grew up, and I was raised Jewish, I kind of saw like the more evangelical Protestants types as the ones that were the more hardcore. Oh my God, I knew John F. Kennedy was Catholic, so I didn't think that Catholicism would breed such a stuff. But then again, when I was growing up, like in middle school, high school, or whatever, everybody knew the joke about the guy that had to go into the confessional booth and the priest asked him to take his place. And when somebody, he was coming in and the priest was like, look, it's very easy. There's a chart up here. All you have to do is, somebody tells you what sin that they did. You can cross-reference the sin with what they should do, and it'll tell you how many Hail Marys, how many Our Fathers, yada, yada, yada. So like first, a couple people come in and it's like, oh, I had it impure thoughts. Oh, impure thoughts. Say 3 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers, and you are absolved. But he was getting into it. He was really enjoying the role. How may I help you, my child? He starts talking. All of a sudden, he goes, somebody comes in and he's like, I'm not married, but I'm ashamed of myself. I did get a blowjob. And he's like, he's not married, so it's not adultery, so it's not up there. It's not full on, 100%, premarital sex in that. So I don't know if it qualifies as that. So he's really lost, and he kind of looks out of the curtain, and he sees one of the altar boys going over there in the corner, and he goes, hey, psst, psst, come here. What do you get for a blowjob? And the altar boy says, 3 cookies and a glass of milk. So, wait, hold on, I should...
Oh my.
There you go. So, yeah. So if that, and joke and humor in and of itself tends to have a lot of reality, going into it. Like, reality spurs a lot of jokes. So if people have been making this joke about this all the time, then clearly people knew. but they were making light of it when but now it's come out, and clearly the church has done some very terrible, horrible, evil things as it pertains to covering up sexual abusers. And it's because not just the abusers, it's the people that sent the abusers to different parishes, to different churches across the country. Fresh meat for them, I suppose. But now people will refuse to even suggest it. It's horrible if we suggest the idea that the Catholic Church should be punished for its bad behavior. So, anyway. Let's see. Lisa was raised Catholic, parochial school, and I think it was the best training to be agnostic. Exactly. Well, see, I was raised Jewish. I'm not very practicing. I'm not practicing. I joke around that I practiced enough as a kid. I don't need any more practice. Like the whole Allen Iverson practice. You're talking about practice? Yeah, I'm not practicing anymore. And my wife always says that she's a lapsed Catholic. She has, I think the last time we were at church together was at her mom's, funeral ceremony or whatever. Not funeral, but like whatever. The ceremony for, after her passing. But, because she's Catholic and I'm Jewish, our kids are cashews. So, let's see. Josh, Lisa, I was raised Episcopal and I'm an atheist. I think it's more about the individual physical location and people affiliated with the church than it is the denomination. Thank you, Kimchi, for reminding people to smash that like button. Let's see. Kevin, nobody messes with my family on here, and yes, she might have known him, but he has since changed. That's unfortunate. There's nothing wrong specifically, Dean Baker, with First Harvest in and of itself. First Harvest is fine. It's just that the First Harvest requires, and rightly so, that any organization that it partners with at the local level needs to, align with the goal of feeding people when it comes to the contributions that are given to that charity. So, feeding the First Harvest is doing the right thing, or has done the right thing in requiring those agreements to be signed. It's the Catholic Church here in New Orleans that's being horrible. So, let's see. Jeff, before the show, we were at a table. Son's girlfriend got recognized for her stand-up act. Lady talking her kept looking at me. She said, "That guy looks like Garrett." We told her no relation. That's funny. Let's see. You're just big-boned. I'm not fat. I'm festively plump, as Cartman might say. It's TV2 Live. Good to see you, TV2. The link, I think, to TV2's channel is on liberaldan.com. If you go to the Friends of the Show tab, you'll see lots of Friends of the Show that you can also support, like links to Trucker John, links to the 21st century suffragettes, and many other folks who are friends of the show, including TV2 Live. Let's keep scrolling. Let's see. The whitest, yeah, exactly. REI, racially, ethnically, incitement. Racial, ethnicity, incitement. There you go. That sounds good. Let's see, Steve. So, genuine questions. If trans people no longer exist, do they have to use the same original sex bathroom? If a woman now has, do they have to go into the women's bathroom? So that's one of the things that I love seeing. I mean, I don't like outing trans people as trans, but when trans people themselves, like, I've seen some pictures of, like, or videos with, like, beautiful women who are posting pictures of themselves like, do you really want me in the bathroom with your husband? Because that's where they want them to be. So they're basically saying, yes, I'm a trans woman. Do you want me being in a private place alone where your husband is whipping his thing out to go pee? There's other great pictures of trans men, because a lot of the times the conservatives are ridiculous and they're more ridiculous about the trans women than they are about the trans men. But, I mean, there are these guys trans men who have taken hormone therapy, who have muscles, full on beards. You would never look at them and think, oh, this person was assigned female at birth. You'd never look at them and think that. But he's like, see, if you pass these laws, I'm going to be in the bathroom with your wife because that's how you want it to be. You want that to be? Well, then you have to change how you're looking at things. So, I'm in conversations. I have Evie Winders, who is a trans advocate. She will hopefully be back on the show. She's been on the show twice. We'll hopefully get her back on the show for a third time to be able to talk about a lot of these issues, especially dealing with trans issues in the new Donald Trump America. So let's see, there isn't enough hours in the day to dedicate to a book of mythology. I mean, I do binge watch shows a bunch of times, but I think that's not what you're talking about. Yes, Steve, they're terrified they might be attracted. Well, here's the thing. They're terrified that they might be attracted to somebody who they think is a man. I mean, but they're not, because if you're a trans woman, you're a woman, regardless of whether or not you've transitioned or not. But they probably are more likely, I guess, to be attracted to somebody, and they just don't want to admit it. Because that's what they are the hypocrites in this whole thing, because A, hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. B, they are the ones who likely need government to stop them from doing the things that they think are sinful. Because they claim to be about individual and, the right of the individual to make decisions for themselves, but, they in reality need government rules to help them behave because they can't behave right otherwise. Lisa Green, like Buck Angels. I don't know if Buck Angel is the problematic one or not. Let me look it up real quick to see. Yes, Buck Angel is the problematic one, so not like Buck Angel. I haven't heard specifically what Buck Angel has done, but there are other folks who are better. I used to use Buck Angel all the time, but not anymore. Yes, exactly, Lisa. Trans folks do not owe us a medicalization. They do not. However, conversely, trans folks should be able to get whatever medicalization they need. And now we have a situation that, hospitals in this country are reducing supposed, gender affirmation type care in order to, I guess, satisfy Herr Donald in his crazy DEI quests. I mean, the one thing I always ask when a conservative complains about DEI to me is simply, tell me what it is. Tell me DEI in your own words. In your own words. Do it, and they won't be able to do it because they'll give you an answer, but it'll be flat out wrong. They'll cite something from like OAN or some other garbage news network that, Donald Trump, loves to have firmly planted within his butt cheeks while he has his face firmly implanted in Putin's butt cheeks. Let's see. All gendered restroom Saturday. Some guy pointing at 3 pictures on the door, making comments. Then he said DJT, held up fist. I said F DJT, fist bumped him and realized he being sarcastic. Nice. Let's see. I can't believe we're still here in the 70s. Harold falling for a drag queen without realizing it was the plot point of Steptoe and Son movie. I know you U.S. folk have never heard of them. No, but that's gay panic and trans panic is a thing, and unfortunately we've had a situation in this country where gay and trans panic has been used to effectively defend people against heinous crimes done against folks who are LGBT. Speaking of, let us look at this website from the Donald Trump administration. TravelSA.gov. Travelers with special considerations. LGB.html. They removed the T. They frickin' removed the damn T. Why would you remove the damn T? Because they're anti-trans, and they want to separate the one from the other because that's what conservatives do. That's what these Nazis do. They divide and conquer. This is Nazism. What they're pushing right now is Nazism. They're consolidating power. They're eliminating all the people from government who are going to oppose them, and they're marginalizing, oppressing people. They're scapegoating minority groups. This is like Trump's playbook 101. The fact that these people will call the people who fought in World War II the so-called greatest generation. But yet, what we're doing in this country right now spits in the face of anybody who served this country fighting Nazis. Of course, they call them the greatest generation, but then again, they don't want people to learn about the Tuskegee Airmen, who are part of the so-called greatest generation. Now, do I hesitate referring to them myself as the so-called greatest generation? Yes. Why? Because I don't necessarily think a generation should be considered to be great if when black people returned home from fighting for the freedom of the people in this country and for fighting for the people, for the freedom of the people all over the world, they come back and now they have to drink from separate water fountains still. They have to eat at separate lunch counters. They have to use separate toilets. And if they dare question anything or do anything wrong, the police are going to put water hoses and dogs on them. So is that a great generation? It's definitely not the greatest generation, but I would hesitate to even call it a great generation. That's a pretty terrible generation with horrible, terrible people. Some of whom may very well have fought for the good fights. Like, you had your Adlai Stevensons, you had was it Henry, what's his name? His name is Henry David, which should be, I forget. Who was FDR first VP? Hold on, I put BP, not VP. Henry Wallace is the person I was looking for. Henry Wallace is somebody who is a very progressive person who served as Donald Trump's vice president, and so people like him were anti-racist, were anti-sexist, were anti-bigot, were far ahead of their times. Back then, absolutely. Being born in 1888, dying in 1965, yeah, he was well ahead of his time. That being said, a large portion of this country sucked at the time, and so I have a very hard time calling them the so-called greatest generation. Yeah, exactly, Lisa. And even though the greatest generation, in quotes, are few in number, they want to cut off their social safety net. Exactly. And here's the problem. It's all those old coots that voted for Donald Trump. When they lose their safety net, most of them are going to find ways to justify their continued support for him because they'll never admit that they were wrong. It is very rare to find an example of somebody who is a Donald Trump supporter who will ever admit that they're wrong. Yes, are there some converts? Sure. I had somebody unfriend me because I was critical over the fact, she was on Facebook, I was critical of the fact that she was supporting Donald Trump. Apparently now she's trying to add me back as a friend, and I'm like, no, I don't do that. You need to come tell me why you unfriended me and tell me why I should friend you back. I don't let you back in if you took yourself out. I'm not bringing you back in. No. But apparently she did learn from her mistakes, and now she is no longer a Trump supporter for various reasons because of his mismanagement of COVID or whatever. So good for her. I'm glad she got there. Doesn't need to have my help further on or whatever. But, if I'll make exceptions. Anyway, I'm so thirsty today. All right, Scott, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Enjoy the ball game. Yeah, most of them guys are past. Yeah, my grandfather passed away a few years ago, and he didn't serve during World War II, but he did serve right after. Like, I think he went after the Nazis gave up, and he went over to Germany to help with those operations. But he didn't actually get to serve, I guess, during the war in and of itself. So. Jeff, I prefer Wonder Team activate. Form of ice. Wonder Twin powers activate. Well, they are the spice spiced animals. I don't know, because you're not Spice Girls because you're one woman, one man. So, but yeah, y'all are the spicy twins. There you go. Spicy twin powers activate. That's what it should be, right? So let's see. So the Prisoners episode with Leonard Russell are timeless. The fact that Leonard, I think, only two Kubrick movies. It's the boomers clinging to Trump. Unfortunately, there are people who are young down here, young white males specifically, who will still support Donald Trump because they buy all the BS about the DEI crap. You know, they believe that DEI means hiring unqualified people. It's funny how I tweeted something back in November that basically that said when somebody calls somebody a DEI hire in public, it's because they call them the N-word in private, and now people are sharing other versions of that meme all over the place. I'm like, can a guy catch a break? I came up with it. Now you want to steal my thunder? It's more than possible that many people can come up with the same obvious joke or the same obvious criticism of people without actually, you know what I mean. They can come up with the same joke without having collaborated on said joke, right? So, let me just check something real quick. If you do decide to contribute to the GoFundMe, and if you put a little note in, if there's some way for you to put a note that says you just put LDR or something, and I'll know that it's from one of y'all, and I'll definitely give y'all a shout out on the show as well. So I'm just checking that out. I am shocked that we're already at $1,760 raised, which is great. I mean, it's far away from what my overall, I guess, perfect target would be. But again, thank you. I do want to just publicly thank everybody who has contributed. Some of those you can see on whatchamacallit. Some of those you can see publicly. Some of the people did do it privately. I'm wondering, this is 3 hours ago, so I wonder which one that is, or if that was somebody locally or not. But yeah, a lot of people are being very generous with their contributions, and I do appreciate everything that are giving. Let's see, Kimchi, Mystic, can you give an overview of your wife's health challenges? I mean, it's pretty much everything she'd be dealing with the salty mouth, the bad taste in her mouth. It's made it so she can't eat. We believe that it could be Guillain-Barré syndrome, but there was some question over that. She was out of the hospital on Tuesday night, so she was home last Wednesday. She rapidly deteriorated. Thursday, we took her back into the hospital. I had to argue with the doctors to allow them to stay in the hospital, and now the people who are currently giving her care are like, I can't believe you had to argue to keep her in the hospital. She is much worse than what she was even on paper back then. So I don't know how long she's going to be in the hospital. I know she's going to hit her maximum out of pocket when it comes to our insurance, which went up by $1,000 last year, or from last year to this year. There's the possibility of her getting missed wages. Plus, there's all the fact that all of the stuff that I've talked about with my mother-in-law and how my mother-in-law passed away in April, that has caused us to just rack up a whole crap ton of debt that has just ballooned and is now making things just very horrible. So if I can get the help with this medical stuff, if I can get the help, and we put a certain amount of money into our FSA account to be able to cover things for over the course of the year, and we'll probably have burned through it in the first month of the year. So any of the health care that me or any of my sons will need at this point will also have to now come out of pocket because we weren't anticipating spending this much. It's a miserable situation. I'm very stressed. I'm very concerned and worried about things that were going on. Just to tell you where I was, and I try not to think the worst of things, but we left my wife yesterday. I brought the kids home. I had to do some setup here with my new setup because my old laptop was going to basically explode if I didn't replace it. So, I didn't hear from her, see from her, get a responded message to her or from her for over 12 hours. And I was very concerned that something was wrong. But, why wouldn't they have called me if something was wrong? They should have called me or whatever. So I called the nursing station or called the hospital, asked to be connected to the nursing station, asked the nursing station if she was okay. And they said, yes, she is fine. So I'm like, okay, good. As long as she's fine, and hopefully she's resting and getting what she needs. But she's currently they were doing a round of like high dose steroids to try and fight whatever's going on, but because it's Guillain-Barré, I don't know how effective that would be. They're going to switch her to immunoglobulin therapy, like via IV, intravenous immunoglobulin therapy, to try and help with that. She's also going to be doing inpatient rehab because she can't walk at this point, like without assistance. There's no way that I'd be able to do whatever it is that we need to do around the house, even with what we have. So it's, and like even yesterday, like her blood pressure was like ridiculously low to the point where I was like, what's going on here? Why aren't y'all dealing with this? So so kimchi, my year has sucked so far too. I'm restructuring the entire household to get ready for the hellscape and the progress. I don't blame you. Again, anybody, if I fully understand that that any particular person, why individuals would be able to say, I can't donate, and that's fine. I understand that because it's tough on everybody. That being said, again, other ways to help out. Help out by sharing, liking, commenting, whatever on videos. Share the donation, share the GoFundMe that I have pinned. Encourage other people to send money the way or whatever. So, let's see. Do you have friends and family to help? I mean, my parents are both in Maryland and Georgia. Actually, my mom currently is on a cruise off the coast of South America, which is fine. She didn't know about everything that was going on when it came to it, or especially that she went back to the hospital. She was already on a cruise by the time she went back to the hospital, but she has been in communication with me since then. Our neighbors are very nice people, and they are helpful when we need to be. I just don't want to go to the well all the time when it comes to that. There's another family friend, a couple other family friends who would be there as much as they could for it. Her family, obviously her mom passed away last year. Her uncle was just recently in the hospital, and I don't know how he's doing health-wise, but he is in Mobile. Her aunt is in Mississippi, which is a little closer, but also not the best mobile when it comes to her mobility or whatever either. So not necessarily people in the best position to help. My dad and stepmother did offer to fly down if we needed them to. With Cassie currently in the hospital, I think that, with Cassie currently in the hospital, absolutely, it's fine here for the moment because they're taking care of her needs as best as they can. It's just a matter of, I still have to do everything for the kids. Have to try to not let the house go into, disrepair or whatever. Have to still deal with all the stuff dealing with the sale of her mom's house. It's just all piling up, and I've been absolutely flipping exhausted about everything. So, yeah. So have they made a definite diagnosis yet? It's not a definite diagnosis, but I think they're landing on Guillain-Barré syndrome. So, Sue, where can I go find the GoFundMe? It should be pinned to the top of the chat. If you go to the top pinned link and open it up, the GoFundMe link should be right there, and you should be able to link right to it. So, and that's one of the things also, like Lisa, talking about accusing somebody for faking things because somebody who was finally diagnosed with early onset dementia. That's how my wife felt. When my wife was going to this first hospital, 3 different times we went to the first hospital, my wife was basically like, look, she did not feel that the hospital was taking her seriously, that they were listening to her concerns, etc. And I don't feel like, the first doctor we saw at this hospital, at the ER, was taking anything seriously or listening to their concerns. And the fact that it took me like 7 different ways of saying how it wouldn't be safe for her to go home, and that finally I finally convinced a medical professional to do his damn job. and to admit her when she had no business being at home. They had no business discharging her. It was absolutely ridiculous. But the fact that I had to, I'm happy to be her advocate. I'm happy to advocate for anything that she needs. And there are times where I'm just, I'll take a step back and be like, I understand that Cassie can do many things on her own, and I don't want to be that kind of husband that feels like he needs to speak for her. Then again, that being said, I can recognize when she's not necessarily in the most lucid of states, or when she is having difficulties just, doing things, based off the fact that she's exhausted dealing with all the stuff she's dealing with, where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to step in and start talking here, because otherwise she's not going to get the help that she needs. Like, clearly they were like, one of the second doctor on Thursday night, which is at the ER, was basically like, trying to understand, like, well, why did they let her go the first time? Well, because they said they thought she would be fine, and her situation tanked. So, but like, to me, it felt like he wasn't listening to me, and that took me repeating myself. But the other thing I was going to say is that the first doctor had a conversation with my wife when I had stepped away to go pick up my son from school, and he should have realized that she wasn't necessarily in the best place to be talking about stuff, because she was forgetting things. She was forgetting to talk about things that I knew to bring up. So maybe that's why he did that, because she wasn't capable of fully stating what the problems were, and I guess in a manner that would convince him, and it took me to do it, and it's fine. Again, I'm happy to do it. I love my wife. I want to make sure that she's well taken care of, and I'm going to advocate for her. And if I have to yell, I will yell. If I have to cry, I will cry. Whatever it takes for me to do to be able to get her the care that she needs, I'm going to put my foot down and get her the care that she needs. So, let's see, Kimchi. I couldn't sleep at night, so I created a planner with to-do lists and phone numbers and accounts. It took half my stress to put it in writing. Elon shenanigans, I can't do anything about. That's true. You can't do anything about it personally, but we can still all together work to shed a light on everything that's going on. Can you accept email transfer, like transfer of funds? There is the Venmo that Jolie gave me, the Venmo link as well. Email transfer funds, like how so? Like Zelle, like transferred via Zelle. Because I can do Zelle if you can't do it any other way. Email me at liberaldanradio@gmail.com, and we can talk that out offline, I suppose. So, yes, putting your thoughts in writing is a very good way to exercise control over a situation. That's very true. So anyway, let me flop on back here, because I had other stuff I wanted to talk about tonight. Let's see. We already talked about the LGB travelers and not including the T. But speaking of Elon Musk and Dodgy Doge, as we all should know by this point in time, the USAID security chiefs put on leave after trying to stop Musk's team from accessing classified information, officials say. Trump administration has placed 2 top security chiefs at the U.S. Agency for International Development on leave after they refused to turn over classified material in restricted areas to Elon Musk's government inspection teams, a current and former U.S. official told the Associated Press on Sunday. Members of Musk's Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as Doge, eventually did gain access Saturday to the AIDS agency's classified information, which includes intelligence reports, the former official says. So Donald Trump is now allowing people without the ability to see classified information to see it. Now, of course, he can grant, I guess, the ability, as president, he could say, I grant you the permission, but Elon Musk has no business viewing this classified information. Elon Musk has no business viewing any of this information. The only people who should be viewing this information should be vetted as being secure, people who can look at these things and be trusted to look at these things, and who have a need to know these things. But unfortunately, that's not the case with Donald Trump. Donald Trump thinks he has a need to know because he's doing Donald Trump's dirty work for him. And he may very well be a fool to do his dirty work. Oh, yeah. But this country is a bunch of fools because we elected the fucker in the first place. So, yes, thank you, Jolie, for sharing that. Thank you, Kimchi. I appreciate you. You're so sweet. Yes, the F Elon, the felon information, F Elon. I don't know if I like reading it felon with E or felon, or if I like reading, if I say felon, it sounds like I have a southern accent. I'm talking about a cat, a felon. But felon, or if Ellen or Elon or whatever. But I don't know which way how to word that. But F Elon also sounds good, because you're just basically saying F Elon, which actually nobody should do, because nobody should have to give him. Nobody should give him the pleasure, and I'm sure he won't satisfy you anyway. Exactly. No sympathy. Don't come to us after 10 years of saying we're crazy. Absolutely. We are not going to have any sort of sympathy for y'all. I'm going to sit there and open a bag of popcorn and eat the effer while sitting here and watching people, suffer because of the choices that they made. The only unfortunate thing is that, unfortunately, other people are going to be made to suffer as well. Just like the Catholic Church in New Orleans wants to make other people suffer for their bad decisions, the Republican MAGA folks who voted for Donald Trump are going to have other people suffering for their bad decisions. Current and former U.S. officials acknowledged the incident and spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to share the information. Musk on Sunday responded to the post saying, U.S. aid is a criminal organization. Time for it to die. The White House did not immediately respond to request or comment. It comes a day after Doge carried out similar operations at Treasury, getting access to sensitive information, including the Social Security and Medicare customer payment system. And of course, as we all know, the Medicaid payment system went down as well. Social Security system was down a little bit at some point last night, but sometimes somebody said that might be standard operating procedure, that sometimes during the night the websites are not available. Musk formed Doge in cooperation with blah, blah, blah. Democratic senators warned the Trump administration Friday against any effort to eliminate USAID as an independent agency. Senator Chris Murphy was one of half dozen of Democrats in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to argue in statements and on social media that President Trump would have no legal authority to dissolve the agency. Aid organizations say the funding freeze and deep confusion over what U.S.-funded programs must stop has left them agonizing over what they can or cannot do. Current and former officials of the State Department and USAID say staffers were invited to submit requests to exempt certain programs, yada, yada, yada. So there's that. But yeah, there's also the fact that Elon Musk now has unique sway over the U.S. Treasury. Last Friday, newly sworn in Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gave access to the agency's payment systems to representatives of the so-called Doge Department of Government Efficiency, created by Trump and headed by Elon, no longer with Vivek because apparently he didn't want to do it anymore. Strike force of Musk lackeys appear to be pursuing a takeover of key background systems in U.S. government, from human resources to physical buildings to software systems to now what is essentially the country's central bank account. At this point, Musk's people reportedly cannot control payments, only view them, but how long that arrangement will last is unclear. Treasury payment systems process more than $5 trillion annually, paying the country's bills. This includes Social Security checks and tax refunds, which means the system includes sensitive personal information on tens of millions of Americans. When Musk, the world's richest man, took over Twitter, he cut costs by simply refusing to make payments from rent to the company's headquarters, offices in San Francisco, to janitorial services. Musk's approach was to simply stop paying the bills and see what happens. You can't do that in federal government. That will be catastrophic. But again, that's what I think Donald Trump thinks he could do too, probably. I've been saying that since day one. Donald Trump made a business of getting rich and enriching himself off of bankruptcies because he could cash out from his businesses and taking personal salary and then say, oh, my businesses can no longer afford to pay this, so we're going into bankruptcy. Boo-hoo.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So, but yeah. So this has the makings of potentially, I mean, is it really a coup if the people who are doing it are the ones who are actually in charge of the government? Like, typically a coup would be like removing somebody from power from the existing government in order to take over the government for yourself. That's typically how we view coups, right? But in this particular case, some people are labeling it as a coup, even though it's Donald Trump in charge telling him to do all these things. But maybe very well it's a coup from Elon, basically trying to get backdoor access to everything so he could be the really running the country, which we knew that was pretty much going to be the case in the first place, because Donald Trump is beholden to Musk almost as much as he's beholden to Vladimir Putin. Trump will reward his voters and punish those who didn't buy punish those who didn't buy Social Security. Okay, I get what you said now. See, I've noticed the quality of care has diminished since they're all starting to work for corporations. Yeah, pretty much. See, Big Hook. What percentage does a YouTube sticker give you? I want to say it's 60 to 70%. So let's see. What percentage of YouTube super chats do creators keep? YouTube keeps about 30% of Super Chat revenue, leaving creators with the remaining 70%. These percentages can change. Blah, blah, blah. The message donated pinned to the chat. Everyone sees until someone pays more. YouTube covers the cost of hosting live streams, blah, 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 blah. Local sales tax and fees from iOS, Google Play are also deducted from the creator before the creator receives their share. Actually, I don't think that's true. I think the sales tax is added to the payment, not deducted from it. But anyway, that's what it is. Some people are saying you don't actually get a 70-30 split. If someone donates $100, you get about 49. Let's see. If someone donates, keep in mind this is before taxes. You end up paying 20-30%. So about $100, your real take home is closer to $39. I don't know if that's correct or not. I don't know where that person is getting their numbers. Who knows? But anyway, they can keep anywhere between 30% and 45% supposedly. So, hey Linda, so what is it? MTG has been missing in action. I'm worried sick. I think she actually had something earlier that I saw today where she was talking about how you can't trust reporters with an accent. Literally. Marjorie Taylor Greene, with her accent, says that you can't trust people with an accent. She probably meant those people who are foreigners and those type of people, you know. That's who she probably meant. Old MTG. Old 6B. You know, that's what she probably meant by that. But, you know, yeah. Old Beach Blonde. I was going to say I didn't forget what the 6Bs were. I don't remember what the 6Bs were. I just called her 6B because it's easier. But Beach Blonde, bad built, butch body. There you go. You remembered it. Here's a funny thing. I don't like B6. I like 6B. Here's the other thing. My wife, because the neurologist was trying to determine like if there are any cognitive abilities that were missing, and I don't know if she's convinced that there are not or whatever as well. But in order to do cognitive tests at the hospital, they had a picture of 7 things on a picture. And it was like, try and remember all of these things, and then I'm going to put it away, and then I'm going to ask you what those things are later. And I'm like, all right. So I'm looking at it, and my wife is looking at it. And then she never gets back to it. She never gets back to it. She never gets back to it. And all of a sudden, I'm wondering if that's the test. If the test is does she wait for my wife to ask to do that? You know, remember what the things are on the paper again or not? But she was about ready to go, and I looked at the doctor and I was like, shouldn't she be doing? Does she have to do the memorization thing again just to see what she remembers from the piece of paper? And the doctor was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So, but my wife had to remember 7 things on a piece of paper. It's like wooden bridge, mouse, a traffic light, a bicycle, clouds. Again, I don't remember the other 2, but I didn't spend as much time looking at it as she did either. A kite, and there was one more thing. But that's 7 things and pictures that she would have to remember. Donald Trump only had to remember person, woman, man, camera, TV. So the test that they gave old Donnie Boy to test his memory was not even as rugged, as president, mind you, was not even as rugged as the test that my wife got for testing in the hospital to determine what her cognitive abilities were. So
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Let's see, Jeff Curry. I speak 3 languages. If shit goes bad, a bit of the 4th so I can move. Is it okay to e-transfer? Like, I don't know what that means by e-transfer. I'd have to look and see by which means you're doing it. But I don't know if you emailed me already or not. Let me check my email real quick. No, I don't see any email from that. But liberaldanradio@gmail.com. But I mean, as long as you could do it electronically, like. If you're going to do it, like, are you trying to do PayPal? Or are you trying to do, I don't know what you're trying to do it. So, what methods you're trying to do that. See, there's no way for I to remember 7 things. I struggle to remember what I had for breakfast. Problem was that at some point she was stuck at 3, and I was sitting there like, oh crap. Like, is this going beyond whatever? Because one of the things with Guillain-Barré syndrome is that it's another autoimmune thing, and my wife loves to collect autoimmune things. So basically, the antibodies target the sheaths around the nerves, as if they were foreign invaders trying to, like ICE going after immigrants. Basically, is the worst thing I can think of. But let's see, Jeff speaks 3 languages. If it goes bad, a bit of a 4th, so I can move. My problem is that the languages I speak, English is the first one I speak. I can go any English speaking country. There's some my kids speak Spanish. We would probably be okay if we had to flee with my kids, because my kids could do the translation, especially my youngest, who still is in the Spanish immersion school. I used to speak Hebrew fluently, but the only place I could go currently where that would be any help would be to Israel, and I don't know if I want to go live under Netanyahu either. Why would I be like, oh, let's not live under Trump, let's go to Netanyahu? Yeah, that's great. I'm sure I would be more than welcome there too, because of all the times I've been criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu here on the podcast and calling him a war criminal. So, yeah. Steve, we all remember man, woman, person, camera. No, it was person, woman, man, camera, TV. You got it wrong. The devil thought he made a clever disguise, MTG, but it's too often weird. Was that why? So the devil went down to Georgia, and instead of looking for a soul to steal, he was looking for a politician to corrupt. She probably was corrupt already. I would think that if MTG and the devil met up, that MTG would corrupt him, not the other way around. MTG probably now that has me in the mind of thinking of a new living down to Georgia. He was looking for a politician to steal. He was in a bind, whatever, blah blah blah, and he was looking to make a deal. Maybe he wanted, and I'll probably have to work in some cuckoldry into that, because Marjorie Taylor Greene has famously cuckolded her husband with at least 2 different people, because that's why ultimately I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the favorites of the conservative community, because for a long time there, like at the end, like they were so like we're into calling people cucks. For some reason they were obsessed with the whole cuck thing, and now one of their favorite politicians is somebody who is a literal cuckoldress. So there you go. English, of course, redneck, hillbilly, I can pick up some Yankee. Those, I reckon those are your 3 languages, huh? So during my ex's early dementia episodes, he thought I was Hillary Clinton. I was flattered. Well, I think that would be a very good thing to call you. Maybe he was just knowing how good of a woman you were, right? The devil went down to George and said, "Damn, woman, what the WTF is wrong with you, 6B?" Hope she remembers him. Exactly. Well, I mean, now that he's vice chair of the Democratic Party, right? That's what he became. I think he was recently elected to vice chair. I think that was today. So congratulations to go out to him. Of course, we have the situation in our politics where, Hegseth is now doing things like removing all identity month things from the army, from the military. So, for example, no Black History Month, no Hispanic History Month, no Asian Asian South Pacific, folks. I think I'm missing a word. I think I'm missing there. So he was elected as one of the vice chairs of DNC over the weekend. Yep, that's what I saw. So, Hegstapo, yes, Hegseth and his Hegsethiness. We should, just as we turned Santorum, or we didn't do it, but Santorum was turned into a gross, disgusting thing. We should find a way to turn something like, say, oh, that's just a Hegseth or something like that, and turn Hegseth into something absolutely like a big, just giant pile of shit. Yes, Pacific Islanders. Thank you. I was missing the I think Asian Pacific Islanders, Asian American and Pacific Islanders, or whatever. I'm getting it all wrong. Again, my mind's all flustered and just all over the place simply because of all the stuff I'm dealing with. So I hope you forgive me on that. Dean Baker, 3 toes. Hilarious. But yeah. Yeah, Jolie. Of course, remember that it's Trump's greatest accomplishment. Yeah, and he was like, "Sir, you have the best you have the best memory, sir." Because for some reason, in Donald Trump's imagination, he loves to believe that everybody just calls him sir, 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 sir. So, like Smegpest, Hegma. Just call him Hegma instead of Smegma. Hegspest. I don't know, something like that. But there's that. There's the changing his word to make his word name sound like other things. But then there's also simply making his name mean something terrible, like whatever it might be for that particular thing. Like Hegseth is the name for the sweat that builds up underneath somebody's clan robes or something like that. So yeah. See, just saw DJT wants Joe Kent from around here in Washington to be director of counterterrorism. Would that does not fill me with confidence. None of Trump's. The only pick so far that I'm okay with. I mean, I'm not okay with any of his picks, but Rubio seems to be a reasonable pick amongst a whole bunch of other picks that are not reasonable. Like, he got one mildly right. Again, would I rather somebody else's Secretary of State? Sure, I'd rather whoever Vice President Harris would have picked as president. Clearly, right? I'd much rather that. But I'm not going to sit here and keg breath. Wouldn't that be Kavanaugh, though? I guess he was a drunk, though. I guess he also... I would love to get Justice Kavanaugh and Pete Hegseth in a room, and they could all talk about how much they love beer and all the other alcohol that he likes to imbibe. Well, I guess he promised that he won't drink now that he's in charge of the military, right? He's not that was his promise, because that's the good thing you want to say on a resume when you go apply for a job. You go to apply for a job and be like, oh yes, and I promise you that I won't drink if you hire me. What? That to me should be the big red flag, as it is. Rubio's days are numbered. Well, yeah, I'm not holding my breath that he's going to keep Rubio. I mean, what was the duration of a lot of his people that he appointed up there? Hardly anybody lasted the whole term. And whatchamacallit, Justice Department head, what's his face? From Alabama? I keep wanting to say Roy Moore, but it's not Roy Moore. Not Lindsey Graham, not Mitch McConnell. Trump first, second. No, Trump first, AG. I forget who it was. Hire Otis Campbell. What Otis Redding? Can't spell right today either. I'm getting used to this keyboard. Oh, see, I'm getting from things from this year. Jeff Sessions, that's who it was. Jeff Sessions. Yes, as soon as I saw you write it, it came up on my screen. Jeff Sessions. There you go. So does the GoFundMe give you everything? I don't think so either. I think GoFundMe takes some as well. What percentage does GoFundMe take? GoFundMe charges a transaction fee of 2.9% plus 30 cents for each transaction. The fee is automatically deducted from the donation. So, I mean, it's much better than a lot of the other places, but technically, if you wanted to Venmo me as friends and family at Liberal Dan and Venmo, that's probably gets more bang for your buck than that donation. That being said, the reason you use these tools is because then you don't have to make one for yourself. So I appreciate, and they also have to take the credit card fees or whatever. It's fully understandable that you're going to have some fees deducted from it. But granted, GoFundMe seems to be much better than a lot of the other things that are out there, especially YouTube. Something like that, like 5%. there's a 5% fee for recurring donations. Let's see, GoFundMe partners with payment processors like PayPal to accept and deliver donations. So, so the fee is applied to each donation regardless of the amount donated. But I guess, 30 cents is, a chunk of $1, but it's not that big of a chunk of 10 or more. So, hey, it's Trucker John. Good to see you, Trucker John. Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate you as well. Trucker John is one of the several hosts that I know, as at least he is the first host that I know of that has agreed to share my link to my Patreon. I know Andrea has shared the link to the Patreon, not to Patreon, to the GoFundMe in-house chat and other chat as well. So I do appreciate all of that as well. Krusty Gnome is in New Orleans. Hide your puppies. Yes, I have 2 puppies. Hey, Pamela, good to see you as well. Again, everybody, remember to smash that like button, and then remember to subscribe if you're not subscribed as well to the channel. And also just remember during the course of the week, as new videos come up, like them, comment on them, share with your friends on social media, etc. That's the best way that we're going to help grow the show, grow the channel, get more viewers every show. I want more quality viewers watching every day so we can have an even better show, right? So trying to see what I'm missing or what I might have missed from somebody said. Yes, the Keebler elf. Yes, Jeff Sessions, the first Donald Trump, I guess, person who was appointed who then dropped out in the first term. How is Kristi Gnome dressed in Darren Nola? What cosplay outfit did she use? Oh, she wore like $10,000 shoes or some BS on Bourbon Street. Like some designer shoes she was wearing as she was standing next to the governor and Mayor Cantrell. And the look of Mayor Cantrell's face in that picture was just of absolute, why do I have to be here with these ass clowns? That's pretty much the exact look that she was making as she stood there with Kristi Gnome. Let me see if I can find that frickin' picture. Kristi Gnome, New Orleans, Super Bowl, Cantrell, and governor. Let's see if I can pull this. Well, there's a video of it, but I don't think that's going to show us the actual picture that we want to see. Let's find images instead. There it is. Oh, Jeff Landry's own Instagram page shared it. Hold on, I gotta put in my PIN to actually sign in as me. Let's see, open, let's see. Save, print, I don't want to save, I want to open in a new freaking tab. Oh well, it's not coming up, so let's just do it this way. So there is Kristi Gnome, and there is her, like, whatever, however many thousands of dollars her shoes are. That's what she wore on the streets of New Orleans. Clearly somebody who's never been to the streets of New Orleans before, because you don't wear any shoe that's nice on the streets of New Orleans. I guarantee you that. You don't wear that crap to Bourbon Street. Nuh-uh. Even though the people have been doing a lot of cleaning down there in order to prepare for the Super Bowl, and cleaning, unfortunately, also means moving like homeless people away so we don't have to see them and they can be, swept under the rug like we always do with all of our problems, especially under conservative leadership. That being said, you don't wear expensive shoes to Bourbon Street. You wear, like, even though Landry's standing there and he's wearing, more comfortable shoes. So he even had the sense to not wear some expensive pair of loafers or whatever. So, but yeah, definitely hide your dogs from Gnome, because she doesn't get to see my pups. That's for darn sure. Because I ain't no way I'm letting anybody who would do that to a dog anywhere near my dogs. You wouldn't want them near my family either. You don't want any of those near your family. Cobblestones do not do well in designer shoes. Nope, not at all. And there's all sorts of different forms of stuff all across the forms of pavement and other sorts of brick roads and other things that are used, lots of various materials that are used in the city of New Orleans to make the lovely city that we are. And, you know, I love the city of New Orleans. It's a great city, but yeah, it's its own special things and special charms include the fact that you don't wear $10,000 shoes or however much your shoes were. I mean, I'm not a shoe expert. I'm not like the guy in you know, what, the Elle Woods movie, Legally Blonde, you know, criticizing somebody's shoes. I can't look at somebody's shoes and be like, oh, that's what that is. Can't determine what they're worth or whatever. But I just happened to read from somebody else that she was wearing some expensive ass shoes, and they probably weren't even Scottish shoes.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
There you go, Steve. So imagine being a cop and such and told a politician is visiting, they turn up in full costume. That would be a good use of the word wanker for me. Well, bloody wanker. That would be a bloody wanker, I think. Right? Not just a regular old wanker, but a bloody wanker. That was funny because as you were typing that is when I actually put the if it's not Scottish, it's crap. So why am I getting notifications with sounds on my thing? So you heard the hard way about designer shoes on the streets of Europe. I would expect European streets to be even better, though, simply because of the fact that it's Europe and they have better, you know, desires to upkeep infrastructure and other crap like that. Unlike America, especially when America's run by conservatives. And we hate to do things like that, right? We cut corners on infrastructure. So, Jeff, I learned not to wear nice shoes in the mosh pit. Probably a good plan. Definitely don't want to wear probably you don't want to wear Crocs. You probably want to wear a nice steel-toed boot in the mosh pit. Especially if somebody gets aggressive with you, you can just give them the old heave-ho back, right? So, yeah, the cowboy hat on Meet the Press. Yeehaw, Christy Gnome! Sue, I wore some classic Adidas in London, and my feet and ankles were killing me from the cobblestones. I can imagine. My thing, you know, that I've had to do, I mean, one of the reasons I've been exhausted recently, honestly, because, you know, my knees have made it so that I can't really walk well. And I've had to walk all over the hospital, several trips each day, you know, in and out, every day in the hospital, and walking around all sorts of places. That's one of the reasons, again, why I'm very exhausted. And I've been using a cane at this point just to help relieve some of the stress on my knees or what have you. So if anybody's watching over on Twitch, like Aaron, if you're watching over on Twitch, is it showing up okay? Because it's telling me that my stream is unstable over there. I don't know if I have to change something on my Twitch stream. So, and also just a question to everybody who's watched the show previously: how has the stream looked today on YouTube? Has the stream, you know, been better? Have you noticed any buffering? Have you noticed any problems with the stream going on, or have we actually been a well-oiled machine almost, except for, you know, the fact that I was with like 2 minutes before I needed to start the show intro music, I was struggling to try and get everything working properly so that everything would play through the headset, which then plays through the OBS, so I could hear what's being played and y'all hear what's being played as well. Looks great on YouTube. Notes they're all perfect. It's good to hear. Good to see that I actually made the right decision on this thing. Oh, holy crap! In the time I've been sitting here, I think we made another $150. So wow. So again, thank you. If you're somebody who watches on the show, this is 8 minutes ago. Dean, thank you so much, Dean, as well, and it looks like Derek also. So thank you all very much for your help. Yeah, she is a badass cowgirl puppy killer. Yeah, yeehaw. That's the thing, like, you know how, like, you know, you look at somebody and you think that the person is attractive, like, and there's just like, but like there are things that people could do that just absolutely make them unattractive, like, you know, in a normal world where everything was in a vacuum and I didn't know anything about Christy Gnome, I'd be like, okay, she's an attractive looking woman or whatever, but like once I learned about the fact that she, you know, shot the dog, and about the fact that she's, you know, pro MAGA, pro whatever, pro Republican, you know, pro Trump or whatever, you know, that just makes me be like, ugh, that freaking, like, the ugliness from the inside of your soul is the thing that shows the most which might be a good thing. At least if you can pick it up, when we see the ugliness of the soul, that makes the person just ugly as a whole. Yeah, she's a full-on Monet. They look good from far away. Yes, I've seen Clueless too, or as well. Let's see, I used to live in a town that Krusty Gnome was from in South Dakota. We have been calling her that for years. Krusty Gnome? That's funny. Rose was down here by my feet. Like, she was getting scratches down here. I was surprised she didn't jump up and jump on the shoulders. So you can see, she was a real nasty person, very condescending. I mean, if you shoot a dog because it wasn't behaving properly, you know what? I'm going to probably agree that you're a very nasty person. That would be a nasty woman. Like, Trump likes to call people nasty women, but he actually likes to pick nasty women to be part of his administration, right? So, ugh. Oh, these frickin' people. Swear for God. See, the Native American tribes won't even let her on the reservations. Well, I would understand you having reservations about letting people onto your reservation, right? Makes sense. So, stomach just went. So, yeah, I got to the final dose of my last amount of Zepbound, personal life thing again, but I had to email my doctor because I have no refills left of that one, and I don't know if they're upping me to 12.5 from 10 or if we're staying at 10. I don't know, so we'll have to see about that one. She was banned. Damn. Banned from the reservations. Again, Donald Trump surrounds himself with the dumbest and stupidest, the worst and dumbest of the people around him. Again, we want the best and the brightest of the people. We don't want to have this DEI or whatever. Like, yeah, no, you are not the best and the brightest, so you have no position to tell anybody else who the best and the brightest is. And of course, again, anytime you hear DEI hire, you are hearing them saying what they want to say. Now, here's the thing. I am going to open up the phone lines real quick. You basically, that's who they'll say. They'll say the N-word in private. They're saying DEI hire in public. It's N-word in private. But we are opening up the phone lines again currently. 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1. That's 562-542-3261 if you want to call in. If you call in once and we have an issue, again, this is because it will be the first time me accepting a call on the show, getting it to work. If I don't have the right browser permission setting up, I'll just tell you to call back in again. So, Jolie, I just had to restart my garbage laptop. This thing is ancient. Was going to buy a new one in the last few months, but got scared off the tariffs. So order one now. It comes tomorrow. Can't wait. That's another one of the reasons why I decided to pull the trigger to make sure I get my replacement now, so that I don't have to pay extra tariffs on all the chips that are becoming tariffed from all these other countries that are coming in. So it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, I totally feel you on that. That was one of the concerns where I was like, all right, I'm just going to bite the bullet and get this now, because I don't want to have to pay even more when the laptop actually dies and have to scramble to get something done so I can run a show. So, anyway, so far, again, we've talked about the show, we've talked about Elon Musk, we've talked about, we haven't really got into too much about the tariffs either. Of course, like, since I made the show or made this graphic and made the made all the images or whatever. Of course, I made them wrong because I think I put 2.2 instead of 2.3 because I was doing it on 2.2 and not on 2.3. But Trump paused the tariffs on Mexico and Canada, but not on China. And this is the strange thing about this whole story. One of the strangest thing about this whole story is that is just the complete amount of spin being done by both sides here. Like, the conservatives are like, yeah, Donald Trump put the tariffs up, he threatened the tariffs, and Canada and Mexico caved, and they caved, and they gave him everything he wanted. Yeehaw. Well, is that really true? Because the other side of the coin is Donald Trump caved to the pressure of the Mexican folks. Like, some people are pointing at the amount of troops that Mexico agreed to put towards the border to help fight drug trafficking. And that's all well and good, but that's I think the number is 5,000 less than what Mexico had agreed when it came to what Joe Biden wanted them to do. So in reality, Donald Trump made a worse deal than President Biden did. Not a great speaking point for people who wanted to call him so-called Sleepy Joe. Jeff, no, Erin is not giving her phone number. She's giving the Liberal Dan radio phone number, which is 562-542-3261 or 562-542 or 562-LibDan1. See, let's see. Canada already planned on what they told Trump today in December. Exactly. I think he's going to take credit for things that he shouldn't take credit for. But it doesn't even matter. Like, we could argue until we're blue in the face over the fact that Donald Trump's tariffs, Donald Trump's actions in and of themselves are harming the people of this country. And they're harming Trump supporters specifically. When prices go up even more, you're going to see even more prices. Hell, I was playing a game with friends of mine the other day because, again, I had already brought the kids home. It was too late to visit, and we have a regular gaming night, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go play the game and, blow off some steam, so to speak. So, people there who I would probably assumed might have been more conservative-minded where I'll be like, everybody looking forward to paying more tariffs tomorrow, and like rolling their eyes. There were more people there who were taking the more anti-Trump to anti-tariff approach than I was expecting. But the gaming community down here has a good bunch of liberal leftist people. Again, we are in New Orleans, but even the people that live outside of New Orleans who live in like Metairie, the more conservative areas. Let's see. Sounds like somebody got it through his thick skull that Americans pay the tariff. See, I don't think so. He pushed it back, but I think he's still gonna try and threaten it, and he still has the tariff on China. So we're still gonna pay the tariffs on everything that comes in from China, and we're gonna also have to eventually, I guess, probably pay the tariffs again for the people in for when he actually does impose the tariffs, when he does on Mexico and Canada. He's going to try and claim that he's Mr., I was a tough guy and I stopped them from, I forced them to do what I wanted them to do, even though, as it was said, some of the stuff that he did was things that they were already going to do. So, ignore the email sent Dan GoFundMe was giving me trouble because I'm Canadian, but I figured it out. That's terrible that they would. I was actually looking for a good for our Canadian folks. I was actually looking for a whatchamacallit. And thank you, Timothy, for the contribution. You're awesome. I appreciate you. I was actually going to try and find a good Canadian clip, but I was like, do I find something from like not Second City TV? Do I find something from like a Molson commercial, or like the Saturday Night Live guys like Rick Moranis or whatever talking about Molson, or a boot, any other sort of Canadian type thing? What type of Canadian sound should I play for our Canadian neighbors up north? I'll leave it up to the Canadian. Yeah, SCTV. That's what I was looking for. So I used to watch SCTV when I was a kid. I was confusing it with Second City TV. Well, no, Second City. I thought Second City TV was from Chicago. Maybe Second City TV is from Canada. No, Canadian television show. There you go. But Chicago is also referred to as the Second City, so that's probably why I was confused. Yeah, Bob and Doug McKenzie. Hey. You hosers. It was all a game for him, mainly to distract them from what Elon was doing at the Treasury Department. Yeah, that's the thing. Donald Trump is trying to push all this stuff down our throats. They always like to talk about stuff being shoved their throats. Well, he's shoving, just ramming all of this stuff, all of the asking people to resign, to take the fork in the road, so to speak, which, again, if you haven't seen that rant, and you know people who work for the federal government, show them that rant, because there's no way that they should be taking that deal, because it's not a good deal. I guarantee you it's not a good deal, simply because of the fact that it's Donald Trump making it, and therefore it's not going to be good for the people he's making it with. So, let's see, just look at that. going to bring this up, but again, I was kind of struggling to get the show up and running, so to speak. Here we go, February 3rd. Presidential actions, executive order. Let's flip over to the laptop. I don't think this is necessarily going to be related to the project. I'm sure there's Project 2025 stuff in there, but I'm not doing the comparison right now with that. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and laws, blah, 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 blah. Section 1 background. On February 1st, I determined that a failure of Canada to arrest, seize, detain, or otherwise intercept drug trafficking organizations, other drug and human traffickers, criminals at large, and illicit drugs constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat, which has its source in substantial part of outside the United States, blah, 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 blah. Pursuant to Section 3, imposing duties, blah, 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 I've determined that the government of Canada has taken immediate steps designed to alleviate the illegal migration and illicit drug crisis through cooperative actions. Further time is needed, however, to assess whether these steps will constitute sufficient action, blah, blah, blah. Section 3, pause. In recognitions of the steps taken by Canada, he is going to... Section 1 of this order has been abated. Additional 25% ad valorem rates of duty and 10% ad valorem rates of duty to energy products shall be paused. Will not take effect until March 4th. Accordingly, blah, blah, blah. Order of February 1st amended, striking the term February 4th and changing it to March 4th. Blah, blah, blah. Severability, blah, blah, blah. General provisions, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, so but again, he's trying to do as much stuff to confuse everybody as possible in order to make sure that we're all confused. So he can do the shenanigans with Elon, that he can do, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. He can have so many, he's going to have so many pots going, we're not going to have time to check what's in each one. At least that's what he hopes, which is why we need as many creators like Hal, like Boston Brian, like Trucker John, like myself, like Midas, like the Midas people, like Texas Paul, lots of various different people that we need to support and get everybody's support up, because we need everybody, all hands on deck, looking at all of the things he's doing so nothing slips through the cracks. Because the moment he gets something slipped through the cracks is going to be probably terrible for everybody in this country. Because he's going to, what the hell is it? A plan for establishing a United States sovereign wealth fund. I wonder if this is in Project 2020. Again, if you don't have a link to Project 2025, you can find it on liberaldan.com, simply because of the fact that I don't trust that the Project 2025 people are going to keep it up and running when we need to look at it the most, right? So, let's see. United States sovereign. Let's see if sovereign wealth is anywhere in here. Let's then bring this back over here. Plan for United States Sovereign Wealth Fund. What the hell is that? It is the policy of the United States to maximize the stewardship of our national wealth for the sole benefit of American citizens. To this end, it is in the interest of the American people that the federal government establish a sovereign wealth fund to promote fiscal sustainability, lessen the burden of taxes on American families and small businesses, establish economic security for future generations, blah, blah, blah. The Secretary of the Treasury and Secretary of Commerce, in close coordination with the Assistant of the President for Economic Policy, shall develop a plan for establishment of a sovereign wealth fund consistent with Section 1 of this order. Secretary of the Treasury and the Secretary of Commerce shall jointly submit this plan to the President within 90 days. The plan shall also include an evaluation of legal considerations for establishing and managing such a fund, including any need for legislation. So basically he wants no actually method of what it's going to be and who it's actually going to help. Nothing of that whatsoever. Well, that's interesting. Let's bring it back over here. Technology seeking state finance foreign direct investments. If American entrepreneurs build it, communist Chinese investors will come, and they have in droves, blah, blah, blah. In the words of United States Trade Representative, the Chinese government directs and unfairly facilitates the systematic investment in and acquisition of U.S. companies and assets by Chinese companies to obtain cutting-edge blah, 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 blah. Communist Chinese buyers have included most prominently state-owned enterprises, private Chinese companies with interlocking ties to the communist Chinese state, and state-backed sovereign wealth funds. So, who is Donald Trump taking Thank you, Fred Bear, for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you for that. So yeah, Donald Trump is taking a nod from Project 2025 in what them talking about what the Chinese are doing. I guess if you can't beat them, join them, right? So Donald Trump wants to create a sovereign wealth fund, just like the Chinese have. I mean, Donald Trump also did want a military parade in his honor, just like the Chinese have, just like the Russians have. Donald Trump loves his dictators. He loves President Xi. He'll talk crap about him all day if he thinks it suits him politically. But at the end of the day, he loves and desires that. Bitcoin, yeah. If the tariff pause holds, how will we solve the trade balance issue? NAFTA 3.0? Yeah, exactly. And Bitcoin, is that what the wealth fund is going to be? Bitcoin? Bitcoin, baby! Yeah, I bet he sets it up and then makes it payable to him on a management contract. Exactly. Or Musk will run it and he'll get a percentage of all the funds that come into the wealth fund, and that's how Musk becomes the world's worst and first trillionaire. American Heart Month 2025. Each day, untold numbers of our friends, relatives, neighbors, and coworkers are affected by the devastating affliction of heart disease caused by people eating hamburgers and drinking keffe. Thanks to advancement in medicine, science, and technology, our nation has made tremendous strides, but even one soul lost to heart disease is tragedy. Oh, shut up! Hundreds of thousands of people needlessly died to COVID, and you didn't give a rat's ass, Mr. President. Do we believe that you really care about heart disease? No, F that. I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, do proclaim February 2025 as American Heart Month. And we're taking away Black History Month because we don't like them. And by them, he means DEI hires, as he would say in public, or what he would say is driving in his car, or somebody else driving in his car. The N-word, right? So once it's crypto, it's gone, pretty much. See, Steve, Sue, my reservation with Hal is, certainly he and we all had heard about life, so I don't think we can afford to be so confident about how things will go right now. Look, I get trying to be confident. I get trying to be whatever. But again, there are many people who thought that this country was not stupid enough to reelect Donald Trump. This country was stupid enough to reelect Donald Trump. I mean, Hal Sparks is allowed to be wrong occasionally too, because Hal Sparks is amazingly right more often than most people that I know of that pontificate about political things. So if he didn't believe that Donald Trump would get elected, if he believed that this nation would come together and elect Vice President Harris to be this current president, I don't blame him for that. I'd like to believe that I would have liked to believe that we would be smart enough for that too. So I'm not gonna begrudge people for having hope and faith that we could turn back the MAGA von Schitz's pants. That being said, again, I don't think I was as optimistic because, again, I just look back to 2016 and thinking that there was no way that we would be stupid enough to elect Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton as vice president of these United States. And, well, what happened? There you go. Yeah, what about the kids and teachers who die in school shootings? Does he want to do anything about that? No, clearly not, because conservatives don't like it when you take their guns away, so therefore they're not going to do anything that help with enhanced background checks or getting rid of the background check loophole. They're not going to want you to take them guns from them, I reckon. So I'm sorry Hal peeved you off, but I mean, I'm very grateful to Hal, because if it wasn't for Hal, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So I'm appreciatively thankful for Hal Sparks and all he's done for the podcast. So, as the last minute dropout by Biden that sunk us. And yeah, I believe that Biden was treated unfairly. I don't believe that his debate performance was as bad as people said it was. I think people overplayed the whole thing about him, where he said we killed Medicare or whatever. He said that, and he should have broke the rules of the debate. He should have finished his last sentence instead of stopping his sentence mid-sentence. Now, realistically speaking, we should be like, oh, he's a politician who's actually following the debate rules. That should be applauded. But no, he just, he allowed the debate people to cut him off, even though Donald Trump was never going to allow that to happen. And as such, a statement was left out there in the ether for everybody else to pontificate about and say, oh, this must be an example of President Biden. But again, Donald Trump, United States, Covfefe, Hamburger, all the various other ways. Anonymous. That's what he said. I can't even say it wrong. Anonymous is what Donald Trump said. He said anonymous, but which maybe I almost came home when he first said anonymous, and I almost did like the whole thing from Sesame Street with like anonymous, do 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 do, anonymous, do 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 do. Anonymous. I got home and somebody else had beat me to it. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I'm not going to begrudge somebody for being able to get to that faster than I was able to get to it. I don't think I'm always original with my humor, but sometimes I wish I could get home quicker and get things that I want to get produced, right? So. Yeah, haven't heard a whole damn thing about Dinky being old. Age doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. No. They're like, oh, Donald Trump's the oldest, will be the oldest president. Haha. They're not going to give a crap about the fact that he's ancient and will be older than Biden. So, yeah. DB Golding over in Twitch. The oranges of COVID, if you don't remember that one. Nuclear sock piles. Yes, that's another great one, a blast from the past, so to speak. Hell, his rambling about the kidneys have a special place in the heart that Hal loves. I mean, who else? What? Come on. Yes, cold dead hands is what the gun lobby will say. Even though the gun lobby, the NRA doesn't care about actually gun owners. The NRA cares about gun sales, and not enough people talk about that neither. So. Yeah, right, because Biden is old. Trump is Mr. Shits his bed. Yeah, I mean, for us two to notice that, we both noticed that. It was like, oh my God. And Hal noticed it first, and so I gave him credit for it. But his Donald Trump's, farting on live TV should have been seen as absolutely embarrassing. But there you go. See, my daughters want me to start playing League of Legends with them. When I get it, I'll give it a go. But historically, I suck at video games, but I still like playing them. So, Obama, yes. Obama. Just there's so many things that Donald Trump has done and misspoken that you're bound to forget one as you go through the list via memory. Just like there's one, I want to say it's Bill Burr. No, it's not Bill Burr. It's the Australian comedian. What is his name? But he was doing a bit about how you defeat hate with hate, you defeat hate with love, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. That was a very good, little nice message sounding at the end, but he listed through this whole thing of things that Donald Trump campaigned on and said he would do, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Now it's back in the 2016 Donald Trump, not even current Donald Trump. So whenever talking about Donald Trump, you're bound to forget things that he's done, because he's done so many crappy things that it's hard to just make one list from memory. So, is Jolie a gamer? Jolie sounds like she wants to game with her friends, but I don't know if she's a gamer in and of itself. I mean, usually I'm a gamer, but a lot of times on my stream, which I'll most likely be live tomorrow, on nerdydan.com, probably somewhere between 7 and 8 is when I'll start. Typically, I'm playing games like, I have to catch up on my Disney Dreamlight Valley. There's stuff I have to do on Fortnite, but I don't get much into some of the bigger games, like there's like a Spider-Man 2 or whatever game that's out there. So, let's see. So AAA is like the newest GTA games. 2 or 3 of those would need more storage. Probably. You're probably right on that one. I used to love Grand Theft Auto when I was younger. Oh my God. But there was one time I'm playing Grand Theft Auto. I'm sitting there and I'm playing it for like a good 2-3 hours. And I'm like, oh, I have to go to class now. So I went, saved my game, started driving. All of a sudden a police officer a police unit pulled up to a corner, and I immediately was like, like I was still in game and reacting to police being there. I'm like, whoa, that was way too weird for me to actually think that I had to jerk because of all this Grand Theft Auto I've been playing, and that I have to be concerned about the police officer literally just driving in real life. I was like, that's crazy. So Brandon, I'm a World of Warcraft nerd. I never got into World of Warcraft. A lot of the games that I'm addicted to tend to be more in-person games, but I mean, I'll play Fortnite a bunch. I do want to maybe learn how to play Call of Duty simply because of the fact that I want to play with Hal Sparks. So, there you go. And I think Hal plays that, and he said we should play together at some point. So, some point we will, once I learn how to play. I got a vintage Miss Pac-Man machine in the living room. Jeff, is it the one where she's super fast, or is it the slower one? Let's see, I'm on PS2. My neighbor borrowed my memory card and overwrote my 99% complete Vice City. Oh, that sucks. I loved Vice City. That was a great, I mean, I could just drive around in the car listening to the radio in Vice City, because the radio channels in Vice City were amazing. So yeah. But anybody wants to talk gaming, you should come to the Tuesday stream over on twitch.tv/nerdydan.com. We'll talk all sorts of gaming. And we can even talk politics, too. We talk about a wide variety of things on the show. So, and one of the things that was wrong with the initial kind of really, really, really cheap laptop I originally got, and then I had to pay a little more, is because the new laptop that I got has, I want to say it's the 4070 GTX card or processing or whatever for graphics. The original one had integrated graphics processing on the computer's regular old CPU, and if you're doing that, your performance is going to suck for streaming. Because I ended up getting now one that has a graphics card that's dedicated with a dedicated processor specifically for graphics. I'm not seeing the issues that I had immediately saw during my first test stream. So, but yeah, I think it's the 4070. I think I had an option between a 4060 and a 4070, and it cost me like $30 difference to make that choice. I was like, all right, I'm going to go with that. It also has like a full terabyte solid state drive, and the other one didn't have as big, but I also have a 2 terabyte whatchamacallit as well, a USB memory stick as well. So there's that. Oh, Jeff Curry, Dan is the original one. So yeah, I would love to have the one that has the speedy Miss Pac-Man. I think that was my favorite one. Just you get through a lot of levels real quick. See, I'm looking forward to Killing Floor 3 launching in March. I think I can't wait. It's the constantly updating cards is why I love my PS5 and not PC. I guess that's the thing as well, is that you know, I mean, I only have a Switch at the moment, so I don't know what games the Switch, what might be good for the Switch and what games might be bad for the Switch for playing stuff. I'm assuming they probably have Call of Duty for it, but I don't know. I haven't really looked. So, let's see. When I was young, my parents had a burger joint with video games. That was my favorite. That's awesome. It wasn't in the current location of Uranus Fudge Factory, is it? Sorry, had to do the old callback, right? Has anybody been trying to call? Because I've not noticed anybody trying to call. But 562 libdan1, 562 libdan1, if you want to join the conversation, more than welcome to. But again, it's saying your browser might prevent calls from ringing. Change your browser settings to allow a voice like Google Home to play. Let's see if I can do that. Again, settings. Doesn't seem to not be set to allow it to, but not getting it. So I can barely manage to keep up with my YouTube viewing, let alone clothe, feed myself, and work. Yeah, that's a problem. It was closer to Uranus than I am now. There you go. That's exactly what should have been said. That's a perfect response there, Jeff. where Impeccable Living wishes he was. Let's see. If you want a fun time, easy game, try out Kairosoft games. All varieties of casual management card 2 games. Love them. And hey, if you want to play a game on your phone, here's a. If you want to play a game on your phone, make sure to use my link and download the Best Fiends game, because that is my current nerdydan.com sponsorship. And you can download it for free. You don't have to pay any money to play. Getting up to level 300 gets the maximum amount of money for the first 18 people. Currently, one person has gotten up to level 180. With 24 days left to go. But if you do buy the $2.99 pack, it helps a little more. And actually, the first 50 people to buy the $2.99, or the next 47 to buy a $2.99 starter pack, will also get gifted subs for the twitch.tv/nerdydan.com channel, which will be helpful as well. So anyway, so again, that's another way to help the show. It's free. You get bang for your buck. For the $2.99 becomes $4, and actually becomes even more than that, because it also becomes a subscription as long as you're the first 18 of the $4 ones, and then the first 50 otherwise. But yeah, that's another way to help out the show. But again, Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right, Mondays and Wednesdays here at liberaldan.com, liberaldanradio.com, and twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Support the show, like the channels, share it, subscribe, share other videos, comment on other videos, like other videos, get the algorithms up. Algor needs more rhythm. Venmo, Liberal Dan on Venmo. Or you can just scan the QR code, or the Buy Me a Cider. Just go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, and it'll take you there, or to go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio, and that is another way to help support the show as well. But of course, we're trying to do the GoFundMe to help with medical bills and other costs that have incurred over the past year, dealing with my mother-in-law passing away up until now. So if you can, contribute to the GoFundMe, or if you haven't already done so, which some of you have, thank you so much. If you contribute to the GoFundMe, and if you can't contribute to it financially, consider sharing it to other people, letting them know that a guy you like needs help, and any little thing they could do can support it. I mean, there's been GoFundMes where people got stiffed on a tip and got 10 grand. So that's just getting stiffed on a tip, let alone somebody's wife being in the hospital and not knowing what the hell her condition or prognosis is going to be. So here's hoping that we can get some more traction and some more support than just somebody who missed out on a few tips, right? So, wow, still have a working Commodore 64 and 165 games. That's crazy. I used to, for a while, have an old Texas Instruments computer, but I don't think it works anymore. But yeah, that's going old school with the Commodore 64. That's crazy. So I was against the name change until I saw a TV presenter with a bunch of kids drawing the solar system. He asked a child, "Where's Uranus?" It sounded bad. Name change is okay. Yeah, I guess the name changed to Uranus. I think, was it Neil deGrasse Tyson does say Uranus instead of Uranus, but I am sometimes I sometimes have the mentality of a 13-year-old kid, and as somebody with the mentality of a 13-year-old kid, I'm going to say and make as many Uranus jokes as I possibly can. So I've been playing retro games recently. They are really as bad as we thought, as we forgot they were. Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true. Although I would sit here and play Tetris for a lot as well. So there is that. Oof, had a hiccup. So, did you take your night meds? Hydrate, hit the like. Exactly. Thank you, Kimchi. But I think we've pretty much spoken about... we didn't talk about the plummeting planes. So let's... Of course, Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are blaming, Pete Buttigieg, blaming DEI hires. But we still have this... The first crash happened, in the middle while we were doing Wednesday night's show, and I didn't know all the details about it. So, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy vows it's safe to fly after shocking crashes. The fact that he starts his quest to go after so-called DEI, even though he has no idea what DEI is. He couldn't probably tell you with it if he had a definition standing and staring it right in his face. Sean Duffy assured Americans it's safe to fly after 2 plane crashes last week. Of course, there was 2 plane crashes, plus I think of a airplane in Houston caught fire and people had to evacuate. Of course, Trump is trying to blame it on supposed DEI with no evidence or proof or anything. That it's anybody hired under any sort of DEI type plan that caused this. Of course, what DEI hires that they ignore are people like, the Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who they got to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They hired her specifically and clearly only because of her gender. They wanted a woman to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg so that maybe they would get less people pushing back on it. Of course, people were going to push back on it regardless, because people who know who Amy Coney Barrett is knows that she was a threat to body autonomy and abortion rights everywhere, and she proved to be that very well the case when she voted in support of Dobbs v. Jackson. She had a somewhat more moderate tone than the other 5 Supreme Court justices on the whole Trump has immunity as president thing that's unlimited. Her concurrence was a little bit more laid back than the rest of them, but still terrible jurist, not somebody who we want up there, but oh wait, you can't even hear it now because I had it off.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So I think I'm going to go. It doesn't look like anybody's calling in today, so we're going to go ahead and shut off, turn on the do not disturb and shut off the phone calls at the moment. Air travel is the safest form of travel you can undertake in the country. Now we've seen more cracks, but it rattles people when they see the disasters. But air travel is safe. I mean, yeah, odds are you're not going to get into a crash. That doesn't mean that the misguided efforts of the current administration to try and tackle things like diversity, equity, and inclusion instead of worrying about things like safety and the price of goods, that's just extremely telling as to, and should tell you everything you need to know about who's responsible for this and who is not. So, and the fact that we had 2 crashes, I wouldn't be surprised to find that we would have more in the upcoming days, weeks, and months to come as the Donald Trump administration turns this entire country into one gigantic fuster clock. Of course, we also have the situation that we talked about when it comes to the New Orleans Archdiocese and my fat man rant about it, because, these people are gross, they're disgusting, they really need to, not take food out of the mouths of hungry people to pay off their bankruptcy debts for covering up for child predators. So, anyway. Jeff Curry, ever heard of zombie baseball? Did the zombies use their own arms as the bat? Right? Or proper staffing too. Because apparently, I haven't been able to verify this. I saw a post about it, but I haven't been able to verify it. It sounds like it could be true. So I'm just going to caveat it with, I haven't seen the confirmation that it is true, but apparently there was a bunch of women Republicans who got let go from their positions under the whole attempt to go after so-called DEI hires, and these Republican women are like, what the hell's going on? We supported Donald Trump and now you're firing us? They're like, we only thought that DEI hires meant that they were going to get rid of the black people, not that they were going to get rid of us too. No, they want America to be, the reins of power need to be controlled by, in order to, according to the people like Donald Trump and his supporters, the reins of government should be held by old, rich, white men. The old, rich, white, oligarchical men. Simple as that. That's who they want running the country. They don't want minorities to do it. They don't want women to do it. They have their way that they're set in, and they don't want to change it from any other way. So, let's see. That's the point, Jolie. Play a game that's giving you fun, and have fun. And if you want to have fun, play that game I just linked to. It's in the show description if you miss it. If you've missed the link twice so far here, I'll probably give it one more time as the show outro is going out. But again, anyway, which should be pretty much soon. I'm still, let's see. Trump frantically searching for a blind black lesbian dwarf in the control tower. Yeah, exactly. Like that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks the problem is that we try and check all of the boxes to try and see that we're diverse, and in reality, he's ignoring the fact that these people that are hired because we care about diversity are being hired in spite of the fact that they're not white. Like, they're being hired because they're not looking at the race in trying to keep them away. Or conversely speaking, we've, at too long as a country, only hired rich old white men to do things in the positions of power, and so it's not a bad thing to try and include other people to get other perspectives. Anyway, can Elon be charged with identity theft from his having access to the social security numbers? I don't know. I don't know. Because it's very well possible that Donald Trump would just say, look, this is what I want him to do. He did it under presidential orders, and as such, he did it under my authority, and therefore he did nothing wrong. We can still disagree with the fact that he has access to it, but even if Elon Trump, it's fitting, even if Elon Musk did break a law in doing Donald Trump's bidding, Donald Trump could then be like, okay, fine, you're pardoned. And it's fixed. Because we gave him the power of the pardon as well. Because we are dumb people for allowing that to happen. Anyway, we are pretty much done. We talked about the plans, we talked about the tariffs, we talked about Doge, we talked about the archdiocese, we talked about all my issues. Again, everybody who's already contributed to the GoFundMe, I thank you so much for doing so. Please consider sharing it with your friends and relatives, whatever. I'm sure we'll be sharing it weeks as months to come. We also will be sharing the stuff about the video game or the phone game, the Best Fiends. Again, so if you're sitting on a can and need something to do, play the game every once in a while. You know, if you get to level 20, I'm going to get some money. If you get to level 100, I'm going to get some money. If you get to level 180, I'm going to get some money. If you manage to get all the way up to level 300, I'm going to get some money. If you think that it's too hard after 180, just give up at that point. It's simple as that. Maybe save your $2.99 purchase if you want to do the $2.99 purchase to get me the $4. Maybe save that till the end so you can get more oomph for your playtime. Other than that, you know, it's just, again, one of the many ways that I try and, you know, find interesting ways to fund the show beyond, you know, the normal of what normal other shows might raise funds on. You know, usually, I mean, the gaming channels might use the Stream Elements stuff, but I don't necessarily see the political stuff doing the Stream Elements stuff. So, but we're using the gaming channel link for this one as well. It's just kind of because NerdyDan.com is now under the umbrella of Liberal Dan Radio anyway. So, you know, as Herr Trump says one more time,
It is what it is.
thank you, Donald. I think Trump got peppered spray so much he turned orange. That may very well be why. Say, Dan, you are so much stronger than you know. I have ignored media lately. Cannot handle the bad news. You say you are freaking, but you seem steady to me. I appreciate that. That is the case. I mean, internally, the biggest thing that I'm freaking out about, honestly, when it comes to my own personal situation, is what happens when Donald Trump makes my student loan payments go up. That's gonna have me freaking the F out. I didn't even include that possibility in the GoFundMe description because I didn't want to make it at all political. But that's freaking me out. But again, I think I do a pretty good job for the most part in keeping myself cool, calm, and collected, resolute, and trying to, you know, when I channel it into my rants, I channel it into my arguments, I channel the worries and fears, whatever that I have, into doing research and to try and make the best show that it possibly can so that more people can be informed and educated about the issues when I feel or where I feel the main people in the media screw up, where they get it wrong, what they miss, etc. So, but yeah, I do appreciate the fact that you that you see that, and that, you know, that I guess my attempts to put up a good front are successful. Anyway, but for everybody who's watching on Twitch, again, we tend to have hard outs on Twitch, so you don't get to hear any music on the way out. They don't like the Nimbus Evening Land bit, so we will try and figure that out at some point to try and get a better show outro that is playable, that won't be flagged by the Twitch stream. But anyway, if you're going to join me on Tuesday night, tomorrow night, I look forward to seeing you then. Otherwise, I'll be back here, assuming anything. Again, if anything happens that prevents me from being able to come and do the show for whatever reason, I will let the mod squad know. I will let Andrea know. I will post something on like Blue Sky, Facebook, here on YouTube as well, just to let y'all know that I'll either postpone or cancel the show at that point. But I'm not anticipating anything like that happening, so I'm anticipating being back here, same bad time, same bad channel, you know, just as I am every Monday and Wednesday, Until then, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it. To the folks on Twitch, heart out right now. Peace. Otherwise, we'll get to hear the final song.